And it looks like we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Deanna, and I am here with my great friend, Simon Arias. How are you doing, Simon?
Doing great. Doing great. How are you?
Good, good. Simon was rushing a little bit, internet connections and issues in one spot, and then rushed to the office to meet me, and I'm grateful for that. But we are coming on today, and I wanted to bring Simon on because I wanted to talk about finding the leader within you. If you don't know Simon, you need to follow him and check him out. He not only has a great story, he is great at motivating and leading. So I want to introduce you guys to my friend Simon. And Simon, can you just give like a little bit about your story and who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, I'll try to fast forward through that. I don't like to spend too much time on me. I want to get to how can we add value to the people. But maybe it'll help to have some perspective of who I am and kind of where it all started. So I'm 36 years old right now, married with 2 kids, adopted goddaughter. She's 17 years old. I got her when she was 13. Her dad was my best friend growing up. He was murdered, unfortunately, my freshman year of college. I was raised on the east side of Youngstown. My mom was a single mom, had me at 19, spent a few years on welfare. And I was fortunate enough to have the whole grandpa, grandma, mom, everybody kind of pitch in. And somehow I ended up going to Ursuline, which was a Catholic school for high school. Went there, won a state championship, the first ever out of our school, our high school as a senior. Then I went on to college to play at Mercyhurst University, where I was a 4-year starter at strong safety and captain. And then coming out of college, I landed my first job as an entrepreneur, and I didn't even really know what I was getting myself into. Last pick in the draft. I come out of college and I thought I was going to have all these just job offers. Like in my head, I'm thinking I'm going to come out because I graduated from college and just make 6 figures, and everybody's going to want to hire me. And so I end up with everybody wanted me to get experience. Nobody wanted to hire me. So 2 years experience for all the jobs that I wanted. So this company, American Income Life, which is an insurance company, they hired me in Cleveland, Ohio. I moved to Cleveland, Ohio. And in my first year, got into leadership a couple months into the business and made 6 figures my first year.
Wow.
Second year was able to double what I made the first year. And then by the time that I was 26 years old, I had made my first $1 million in a year. And my dream was to work at General Motors and, hope to get some time and be in the union like my uncle.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a big vision of what was possible out there until I started to get rolling and get traction. And, so at 16 years old, I was actually spent time in juvenile as a kid at JJC. And 10 years later, it's the complete opposite situation. Fast forward today, I have 19 offices in 9 different states. We produced $25 million in business. We'll produce $25 million in business this year. Have a recruiting company, a real estate company, and a consulting company. And it's all just continuing to flow. But my real passion, my real passion is stuff that I give out for free. And I mean that. It's the motivation, anything that I could offer anybody a hand up or any type of knowledge and advice, and especially if I could pour into any friends of yours, Deanna, just being on the board with me at Inspiring Minds, where we had the youth program and have the youth program in Youngstown, Ohio for underserved and underprivileged kids. Not always easy to have people that want to volunteer their time for free and spend some evenings and some weekends, hours out of their busy life to help kids that are not their own. And so when I have people like you that are willing to do stuff like that, you already know where the person's heart is at. So if there's any way I could add value to you or your people, I'm 100% excited about doing it today.
Well, thank you. And I'm so glad that you are, because your story really is amazing. And I love that you're so authentic and sharing it, right? You're not trying to hide it. Like, you openly say, hey, spend some years on welfare. Yeah, hey, I would spend some time in JJC, like heading down a wrong path. But you know what? Look at me now. Like, look at what you can do. And that's so important because, as I have two boys, right, that are in college, and you have children as well. And as we're raising them, we hope and we pray that they stay on that right path, but things happen and things shift and whatever. And what was the biggest influence of getting you from the not so great path to, what, I can make a better life. I can start over. Like, what did that?
I think first of all, I got to give credit to my mom, who never gave up on me. My mom and my grandmother, that, I look back on it as a parent now, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what did I do to these people? Not even like when my daughter falls down, and let alone the stuff that I was into. So God bless them. They never gave up on me, and they did always instill the right things in me, even though I was moving in a different direction and hanging around people I shouldn't have been hanging around, in an environment, that I got caught up in. My heart was still there, and the things that I knew from what they instilled in me was there. I just didn't have a place for it to come out yet. Yeah. And so when I got introduced to this company, I realized now that it was, in my opinion, it was heaven sent. It was by the grace of God, that these people called my resume, because I would meet two men, one young man when I came into business. He was only 25 years old when I started. He was a partner with another guy that was in his mid-50s, and they were the perfect combination. I learned a lot of business and a lot of stuff from the younger guy, but he had a lot of success. His name was Marcus Smith. I never saw anyone his age be able to have the amount of success that he had. And then his partner, Jim Serace, was an ordained minister and a youth pastor. And so he would start to spend time with me and walk me through, how to read scripture and get me opening up my mind to prayer. And I really started to evolve with my faith and my spirit. Mm-hmm. And I think that was really the turning point, just getting in that atmosphere, getting in that environment around a lot of positive influences, and then having people that I was looking up to that were doing the right things as dads, as husbands, and it would be able to hold me accountable and hold me to a certain level of expectation level as a man that was opposite of what I was normally used to culturally, as far as how you treat women and what you should do for women. And, I've been married now for going on 6 years. I've been with my wife for over 10, and never cheated on her a day in my life. And, again, open book, like we talk about open book, I am.
Yep.
That's the first time that ever happened to me in my entire life. I was 24, turning 25 when I got with my wife. And so I guess we've been together for over 11 years. Married for 6 years, and that's the only person that I've ever shared anything with since I was 24, 25 years old. And I give all the credit and glory to my mentors and my mom and my grandmother for that turning point.
That's awesome. I love it. And again, I love how authentic you are. I mean, you just keep it real. Like, and that's what that's what makes you so amazing and so great, right? Because here you are, I mean, all these offices and all the success, yet you're so humble and you're so real, and you don't try to put on a front. Like, if you are who you are, and you're always willing to help people out, which, thank you for that. I mean, honestly, because I know that we have some mutual friends that you've helped out a lot, and they just rave about you. And anybody who actually comes into contact with you, I mean, you really have a true giving heart. Dennis Schiraldi says, I've been following Simon for a while now. He's one of the few that I do follow regularly. His enthusiasm, energy jump off the screen, and I appreciate that. Abso-freaking-lutely, Dennis. I agree.
Thank you.
It definitely does. So I want to talk about finding that leader within you, right? Yep. Because you do talk a lot about being a leader and how to pull that out, leadership in general. So how do we find because I believe God has given us all gifts. And I know you believe this too. And sometimes we don't know what that gift is. And sometimes we don't know how to pull it out. How do we find that leader that's within us?
Yeah, I think, first understanding the why. I think first we have to start with, why do people want to be a leader? And people first of all, most of the time, not all the time, they want to lead based on the perks that come with leadership in business.
Mm-hmm.
Perks. There's, you make more money typically if you're in leadership and you have a certain title, but they don't do it for the process of it. And there's a price that comes with leadership. And I think the greatest leaders come to realize why, they do it. And it becomes about, how can I impact other people's lives? And so I think you find a leader within you from asking yourself, what experiences have I had that I can build from? Because I think everybody's gone through something in their life, whether it's, a death of a loved one, or something with their family or girlfriend or health, or addiction issues or whatever. And when you make it through stuff, now you become certified to be able to walk somebody else through how to get through those types of things. And in those moments, sometimes you're going through things and you don't understand, why am I going through this?
Amen. Right.
Divorce, or why did I go through this situation, or what happened? And then down the road, you realize that there's a group of people that would only relate to you. They would only listen to you. Had you not been in that circumstance, that's why they're in Youngstown and all over the country. But in Youngstown, I got involved a little bit in trying to be charitable and helping Teen Challenge. And Teen Challenge is an addiction place where people come to rehabilitate. But one of the key things on why I think Teen Challenge has one of the highest success rates with this stuff is that the people that come through there, you can only teach and mentor and guide others in there if you've beat addiction. So I couldn't just go in there and run that program. It has to come from someone that's been in their shoes. And so I think finding the leader within you is finding out who you are. What is your experience? And that's where you can find a place to be able to walk other people through those things. And then being genuine of who you are. A lot of times people in leadership, they'll try to be somebody else. They'll try to be their mentor, or be somebody who read the book, or be someone that they admire. But I think it's okay to grab those qualities of other people. And as a matter of fact, I think it's vital for you to grab qualities and learn from others. But you have to be genuine, and you have to be first-rate you. You have to be yourself. And I think when people find themselves and they're just being themselves, and they find out what they've gone through that they can help other people through, and then what are they passionate about, then they'll start to find that leader within them. But I think a lot of what we do with Inspire Minds Youngstown is exposure. I remember answering to some possible donors, and they asked where we were spending some of our money. And when I went over that, they were like, well, why are you spending so much money on these kids traveling and going to these different places? Because that could be money that you're saving. And I had to explain to them that oftentimes these kids don't even know what's possible out there because they live in a bubble. And so once they're exposed to seeing it done with their own eyes, and seeing people and seeing a different place, they can then be inspired. And so I think finding the leader within you can happen when you start to look at others that you emulate, and be exposed to great leaders, be exposed to people that you can relate to that are in leadership, and then grab their characteristics, grab some of the things that you like, but make sure you make it a part of you and who you are in your process and journey of helping other people.
Absolutely. And, it's funny that you say that, because I even know, I've pulled from a lot of different people, and sometimes I have to shut them out, because I have caught myself trying to mimic those that I respect and look up to. And I'm like, no, you know what? Because you could feel it already in you. And then you kind of feel like you're not being authentic to your true self. So I sometimes will block that out and just speak from my heart. And I fumble and I make mistakes, and it's like, okay, whatever. Right. But yeah, you absolutely do. You just have to create your own path and lead from within. Definitely. So you every morning you get up and I watch you, and obviously other people watch you. First off, I want to give a big shout out to Deborah, who is in North Carolina now, but she's from Youngstown. Love my Youngstown friends. I'm actually in Montana, and Simon, you're now in Pittsburgh, right? But we're all from the Yo, and I love it. But every morning you get up, you share that you're at the gym, you're working out, you've got some structure that you do every morning. Why do you do that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's something that I'm super passionate about, actually. And I'm glad to see that it's not just me, because I just got off a leadership. I had my first ever in my business. I've had an explosion of women, more so now than ever. Our business has been male dominated. And recently I've had a ton of leaders that are great. I mean, I'm talking about international award winners. And so I wanted to tailor something to the ladies. And my neighbor is the top beach body coach in the world, typically.
Oh, wow.
Melanie Mitro. And me and her joined, and I think the podcast drops this Friday, her and I. But I had her on my first ever Women Grow Wednesday development today. And she went through her routine and reasons why. And she's an early riser, 5 a.m., gets up in the morning. I'm typically up 5 or 5:30 in the morning. 6 o'clock, I slept in. I do that because I find that in order for me to serve others, I have to be able to take care of myself and serve myself. And once the sun comes up, my kids are usually up, come 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, forget it. If I'm not getting my phone blown up in business, I got my kids over here that I feel bad, not being a part of what's going on. So I have to get up early and give myself those first 2 to 3 hours to read and enhance what I know, my knowledge and learning from others constantly, in order to be able to pour into others. I can't grow others if I'm not growing myself. I think it's an ego issue if you think that you're already good enough that you don't need to learn from anybody else.
Preach. I love it. Absolutely. I have an hour a day, usually around 2 o'clock, and it's my learning time. And that's when I'm reading something, listening to a podcast, just doing something, right? Something to better educate myself and to grow. I love that you do that.
Yep. Huge. I think whatever works for anybody, I think either way you slice it, you got to get some time to growing yourself. And so, for me, that happens to be my early morning routine. So then after I read, then I'll typically, or before I read, actually, I'll dig into scripture. I'll usually go to Proverbs or Psalms, and I have a daily reader. That process takes me about 15 minutes, and then I'll pray and I'll connect with God. And so that's 15, 20 minutes long. And then I'll dig into some books, typically leadership stuff or business oriented things. I'm probably averaging reading 3 or 4 books a month right now. Almost.
Wow. That's impressive. I try to get through 1 book a week or 1 book a month.
And that's good. That's really good. I haven't always been this way. I think that is more than a lot of people. And then after that, I take care of myself physically, because I can run longer and faster than most people because I have so much energy. If I don't get healthy, if I don't get sick as much as everybody else in 365 days in a year, I'll get sick. Other people get sick, but I won't get sick as much, or I won't get sick as long, typically because of being zoned in on my health. And then a stress reliever. I'm just stress relieved when I'm done with that whole routine, to where now it comes 8 o'clock and it's time to serve others, be it patience with my kids or patience with my business kids. Because sometimes these folks are like grown adult kids. And so when I'm dealing with my business kids, I'm dealing with them with patience. I'm able to deal with them with love, and I'm able to serve them and pour into them because I first took care of myself. So that's kind of my morning routine. And this morning when I had Melanie on that I was talking about, she said she does the exact same stuff. Pretty much the same routine in the morning. And, I don't know if it's because she has young kids and she knows she has to get it done the same way, before they get up or what, but she has the similar routine.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know you played sports. You talked about playing sports in college, and did you ever box? For some reason, I feel like you were a boxer at some point.
Jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
That's okay.
I've been boxing now for a couple years, but nothing professionally or nothing like that. But I've been boxing. I spar still, but jiu-jitsu is my main thing. I've been doing martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu for going on 11 years. I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So that was my passion after football. I started.
Yeah. That's what you did. How do you think has sports played into your ability to be a leader in any way? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think majorly. It doesn't mean that people that weren't involved in sports can't be a great leader.
Right.
I know some, but
absolutely.
I think sports definitely accelerated my ability to play within a team. I got used to working with people from different walks of life, from Ursuline to college, people from different places. 1 minute, they're from the inner city. Next minute, they're from the country and they're going to the same school. So we're on the same team. And in order to win, you got to have the camaraderie. If you're an individual playing a team sport, those teams never win titles. They never win championships. And anybody that was in our locker room or was around our state championship high school team in 2000 would tell you it's probably the closest group of people that they've ever seen.
Yeah.
And that was intentional. And I had the pleasure to be one of them. I wasn't the only captain. There was other captains, but I was one of the facilitators of all right, guys, we got to bring this thing together, from team dinners, family dinners, to, keeping everything tight. And I think that's ultimately a huge reason why we would be able to come back from deficits, come back from losing, and because we loved each other, knew each other. And then, so being a captain in those environments taught me how to be a leader of others, how to get buy-in from other people because they know that you care about them. From football to basketball to business, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so you got to show people, whether it's your 13-year-old teammate or your 55-year-old teammate, they just have to know that you genuinely care about them in order for them to want to follow you. And I learned that there. I learned how to take orders. I learned how to be coachable. I think in order
there you go.
You got to be coachable yourself. There's a sign I saw that, uncoachable children turn into unemployable adults. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're not coachable, in order to influence others, you first need to be influenceable yourself. That's above one of my doors here in the office, and I got that from my friend and mentor, Jim Tressel. In order to influence others, you must first be influenceable yourself. You got to be able to be influenced by others. You got to allow people to coach you. You have to be a good follower before you could be a good leader. And so as much as I wanted to lead, I had to follow my coach. I had to listen to their orders. I had to be on time. I had to and then competing, because any way you slice it, business is competition. You got to be able to compete healthily. Doesn't need to be rude or ignorant or bad. You got to have a little competitive juices in you. And so I think that, and then coming off of losses, I didn't win every game in basketball. I didn't win every game in baseball. I didn't win every game in football. And so you still have to be able to learn how to come off a loss, and the next week you're ready to rock and roll. And so many people stay down. It's normal to get down as a human. Everybody's human. I even get down. When you get down, the difference maker is you can't stay down long. You got to be down and pop your ass right back up.
Yeah, you do.
And you're going to take another loss. Because your life is going to follow that mindset and that attitude. So I think those are just a few, and I could go on and on about what sports did for me. But yeah, sports was my big reason why I think I was able to accelerate quickly in leadership.
Yeah, and you mentioned Coach President Trussell. I still say coach because I was in college at YSU when he was the coach. And ironically, and I don't know if you know Ryan Wood. Ryan Wood played football at YSU for 1 year, and he was actually one of the founders of Under Armour. And he came back to Youngstown, and he was talking, and he shared the same thing. Like when they first launched Under Armour, they actually looked for athletes. Now, I agree that you don't have to be an athlete to be a leader, but the reason that they looked for athletes to hire is because they knew how to be coached and they understood teamwork and they understood how to pull everything you just said is what he said, right? And he went on talking about like the office was like a locker room feel, like you're a family and that's how you succeed. So I love that you just reiterated everything that he said as well.
You know what else is key, I think, about sports and entrepreneurship? Is, like as a freshman at Ursuline, I didn't start varsity. As a freshman at Mercyhurst University, I got redshirted, which means you do all the work, but you don't get to play. That's what redshirted means. It means you get to lift weights at 5:30 in the morning. You got to run sprints. You got to sacrifice your summer. You got to sacrifice. But you don't get a chance to play. But you got 4 more years of eligibility. And so in businesses, in entrepreneurship, there's usually an upfront grind and sacrifice that goes with the people that you see that are successful. When you see someone in their journey and they're 10 years in or 20 years in or 30 years in, you may look at them and say, oh man, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be able to control, the autonomy. People are motivated by the autonomy of being able to do whatever they want to do, when they want to do it on their own terms, make what they want to make, control their situation. But also with that comes upfront, typically a year, 2 years, 3 years of a lot of work, a lot of grind, some time invested, some money invested, and not an immediate return coming back to you.
Right.
That hope and faith deferred multiplies largely, heavily over time. When you do entrepreneurship the right way and you are in control and you win, you're able to impact others, help others, make money you probably never would have been able to make, have no limit on your income, you be in control and employ others and help others and have your own schedule and be flexible with that schedule. There's so many pros to it, but the upfront aspect, sometimes you got to go through that grind without the reward immediately. And so that's how sports helped me too, is I wasn't a blue chip 5-star, as soon as I walked on the field, I was starting everywhere. I was small. I was undersized. I was 5'7", 185 pounds in college. And when I went to Ursuline, people told me I shouldn't have never went there. Family members were telling me I shouldn't go there because it's a powerhouse. It used to be a powerhouse. You can't, they were saying you ain't going to get on the field there. That, they put everybody out D1. You should go to this school. You'll be the star. And I went to that school and it took me 2 years of grind to where finally that third year, I was a consistent starter. College, whole freshman year. So I think just that delayed gratification comes, can help you, coming up in sports.
Yeah.
What's up, Pegues?
I love it.
Pegues was like a 300-pound D lineman that was unfair to play against in high school. Thank God he was on our side. He's even bigger. He's even bigger now. He was a beast.
That's funny. I didn't realize that. I've met him a few times at some different events, but I had no idea.
Ryan Pegues. That's his. I think it's his brother. I was thinking of Ryan.
Okay.
Ryan was a boxer.
I love it. Well, Simon, I am going to let you go for the day. I loved everything you shared. I mean, I think that this whole conversation, it was about leadership. It was also about hope, and it was about drive and just believing in yourself. And thank you for sharing everything that you shared with not just me, but for anybody who's listening to this on the live or on the replay, because there's some really good things for parents, even if you're not in business, but parents or children, teenagers, just anybody who wants to really change their life and take it to a next level. It doesn't matter what you do or what age you are or where you are in life. You've just inspired so many people. So thank you for that. I appreciate you. All right. And we will catch everybody later, and I'll see you soon.
You going to shut this thing off for me? Because my staff left. I am.